So you'll keep a timer for the 3 minutes so you can see how your time's going.
I'd like to make a request to note and file. I have some reading material that I'd love to share with you guys, if that's all right.
Receive and file.
Second.
All for it?
All right. Yeah.
You give it to the clerk.
Thank you.
Got it all labeled out for you guys, dished out nicely.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Hudson Hawk Brown. I'm a lifelong resident of Redondo Beach, California. I'm in Resident 1, District 1. Very excited to be here. Zoning and policy planning is one of my niche subjects. It's something I care about a lot. I spend a lot of my free time doing it, more than my girlfriend would like. She's like, "Spend more time with me. What are you doing zoning?" Personally, I love zoning. It's such an interesting concept to me, how our infrastructure affects all of us. And so what you see before you is a little bit of my personal background. I'm a mechanical engineer, but in my spare time, I'm trying to recreate Redondo Beach in a city modeler. The idea behind this is to understand how Redondo Beach flows and lives and breathes as a community. I love Redondo Beach, and to get the opportunity to serve this committee would be phenomenal. I would love to not give my opinion, but to give an objective, thoughtful perspective on where we can improve Redondo. You know, we have to protect our services, you know. While we are, you know, a little bit below in our general fund, I believe we can make that up in other ways. You know, I really want to protect, serve the citizens of the city. We need to maintain safety, keep in mind of parking, and public safety. While the state is trying to force us to build more housing, we have to figure out what we can do to maintain our local control. And as part of the zoning commissioner, I think I could really apply that and give you guys a perspective and possibly a Gen Z view of things. So thank you. And any questions?
Okay, well, thank you, and thanks for the complete package. I don't think we'll have time to go through it
No
while
worries.
we're sitting up here, but I will certainly consider it in my deliberations, so thank you. We'll just raise our hands. So Councilmember Barrett.
I was just going to pick up on what you had said earlier. For all the commissioners, there are rules in effect with the commission. One of the main ones, and I see Ron Morocco's here, he knows it, it's absences. You need to be present.
Thank you. I forgot the absences, yes.
Yes. So there is it's part of our ordinances, commissioners must not miss more than 3 meetings in a 12-month period. And, right, and the reason that makes sense is in order for commissioners to advise the mayor and city council, they need to be present. And there's no remote participation, you actually have to be here. And so that's really an important requirement for commissioners. And so if that is too much, you know, let us know, and no hard feelings, but we do abide by that and enforce it for good reason.
You may have seen me come here a few times.
Yeah, you have, and I'll just go ahead and finish up. And Hudson, I didn't have a specific question for you, so I didn't mean to bring you up, so.
No, thank you for reminding me. I forgot to include
Yeah,
that
no
in
problem.
the discussion, and that is one of the major things.
It's one of the major ones, and Mr. Brand, unless other questions of the council, I had a question for you now. Yes, no, good. So thank you, sir. We'll perhaps get back.
Councilmember Abaji?
Yes.
All right, well, let me just finish this up then. So the mayor also mentioned there are rules in place. There are rules, and I see Mara Lang is here shaking her head. She knows the rules. They're now embedded as part of the city rules for commissioners. Mayor touched on it. There's a list of things that commissioners are not, and you know, they don't make policy, they don't direct staff, they don't demand documents. And all of that you'll see in the municipal code and in the rules, which will be circulated and recirculated. And so there are some restrictions on that we have in there. Removal by members, the mayor touched upon it. The Redondo Beach Municipal Code was amended in recent years, and we know this. Any commissioner may be removed by a vote of the majority of members of the city council. You know, there are some restrictions on that, but the point is, as a commissioner, you really are representative of the city. And certainly if you're one of the commissioners filling one of the district appointment positions, planning commission and others, even more so. So it's really a matter of best behavior. There are, as we know, free speech rights. We can critique the government. We allow that. We give 3 minutes for it. Yet, there are certain bounds. Are you representing the city in a manner that we feel comfortable doing? So that's really all I wanted to mention, Mayor. I thought it was important to kind of amplify on what you started, because this is not an easy task. It's not a resume builder. You are playing a very important and serious role in the city. I see Nancy's here. She's been on a commission, and we wanted to lay that out for you. So thank you. Thank you, Hudson. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
just
Mr.
one
Aaron.
minor correction. You said if you miss more than 3, it's if you miss 3 or more.
If you miss 3 or more, so 3, and that's it. So thank you, Mayor, for that correction.
Sure. Sorry that we took up your time on that one, but
No worries at all.
I applaud Councilmember Barrett for going into more detail than I did. Councilmember Obaji, you had a question.
Yes, first I wanted to commend you for coming down, dressing well. You're dressed for the job of president, so
Thank you.
this is just a commission, but
You
good
guys say I
job.
represent Redondo Beach. I have to present my best.
There you go, all right. And, but I note that you either called in or you came and spoke to us about the Pearl Street and PCH development, correct?
That's correct.
And in favor of that and affordable housing in Redondo and the like. That project was appealed from the Planning Commission's denial, and they subsequently added significantly more parking, which is a major grievance by the folks in the neighborhood. And we ultimately passed it. Now, the property's for sale, and as far as we can see, there are no shovels in the ground, and it's not being built, at least right now. Do you think that entitling that kind of property still helps affordable housing when it just goes up for sale?
That's a good question. I think when they put it up for sale, they're hoping that, that plan is stuck to that property. So they're hoping that somebody else may pick it up so they could get an easy cash out. But if nobody does buy it, there is that possibility that they will go actually and build it. My hope is for the city council, and to apply myself here, is not to push anything, not to push an agenda, but to look at the facts, look at what's available. Does this project make sense for the citizens? They came out and spoke and said, no, we need more parking. And so that's what it is. As long as we can build more, I'm not opposed to that. We don't need to build like high rises and massive condos, but the fact that we're, inching forward is gonna help. Most of Redondo's tax base is from property taxes. So if people aren't moving into Redondo or changing hands of these properties, we're not gonna get any of those taxes. So we have to be, respectful of the community when we place these buildings here, but also be aware that as the city, we have to be able to balance our budget. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Councilmember Kalajevic.
Yeah, you touched on representing Gen Z. Can you speak a little bit more about what we're missing and what that means and how we can apply it on the Planning Commission or otherwise?
Yeah, so, Gen Z is a little bit underrepresented in politics. I understand that we're a bit young, but I'd like to make the point of, kind of bridging that gap. I'm someone who can talk to Gen Z, but also talk to adults. If there are resident concerns from the younger generation of affordability or being able to stay here and grow up here after we've built our lives here, I feel like it'd be a good way for me to advocate for these people who normally wouldn't speak up for themselves. Most of my constituents, my fellow members, can't really go out here and talk to you guys for this much time. I'm a nerd. I love this kind of thing. So I would be bridging that gap between those who cannot participate in politics and somebody who is active in politics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sure. Of everybody here, I probably have had the benefit of seeing this presentation. Hudson's in my district, and so he asked if he could show that to me. And I think it's impressive that we have somebody as young as him who is interested in any of this kind of information, any of this data. And, he does, in his thing, talk about how the revenue comes from property taxes, but the next page after that, he says businesses pay more than property taxes. So I would say, he's got all the data there, and he sounds like he's data focused. And so, question for you on data, since parking is always, California is saying we don't need as much parking. Do you think that applies to Redondo Beach, or does that apply to the Bay Area? Is it different here in Redondo Beach?
I think it would often depend. I would think the Riviera is kind of like the goal where we have a centralized parking area and it's surrounded by commercial area. That way you move your vehicle towards the center and then you as the individual walk to where you need to go. That's just great design. There are some areas where it would make sense to have parking and some areas where it'd make less parking. That's really up for the zoning commission to figure out. I think I would like to apply myself to understand that. If there are areas where we need more parking, not opposed to adding more parking. But if there are areas where it's like, we have a parking iceberg, there's so many parking spaces, but they're not being filled consistently, I think it'd be a great area for improvement. My goal is to apply an objective, data-driven process through this.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have questions? Okay, I have one. You've only put in for the planning commission. Would you be willing to consider other commissions?
I wouldn't be opposed. I really do want to serve, the city of Redondo Beach. I love the city. Actually, my first time serving Redondo Beach, I worked at Seaside Lagoon. One of the summers here, I worked here and it was great. I biked every day to work. I didn't have to drive because there was a bike lane directly from my home to Seaside Lagoon. And that gave me a lot of pride in the infrastructure around me. And I thought, well, hey, if this really benefited me, I wonder if I could apply myself to help other people through infrastructure.
Well, I applaud you for wanting to get involved as young as you are. I didn't get involved till I was, with city stuff till I was 40. I was 35 when I got involved with like Surfrider Foundation, which was a bit different. So I applaud that. And we definitely need, representation from as many different perspectives as possible. We are concerned though about state mandates and local control. The one thing I do want to correct, not just from you, but I heard another comment tonight. Yes, we get a lot of revenue from our property taxes from residential.
Yes.
But on the high density properties, we end up with a net loss because of the services and infrastructure they demand that they don't pay for.
That's
and
true.
It gets exacerbated when we put that over former commercial lots, whether they're underperforming or not. If we could do like we're doing on Artesia and increase investment in the commercial parts that are underperforming, that's better for the city than changing it out to housing, which would be a net loss. And we are doing a nexus study. We've funded a nexus study that will show very overtly the costs related to high density development versus the revenues. So
That's excellent.
as
I
long as
hope
you have an
that-
open mind to
Yeah.
that, and you're not, some people just want affordable housing, and it's not just affordable, they want more at all costs, but you sound pretty reasonable, so
I'm not
I
an
appreciate that.
overdevelopment guy. I'd like to make the point of like, there's different types of property and you're absolutely right. There are some buildings that when you cross a certain threshold, their cost increases as well. The state is trying to allow different types of housing and variety of housing. So changing those zoning standards and adopting those practices is one way to lower the cost of those buildings because of the infrastructure. I'm well aware that we need different things for different areas. It doesn't make sense to just put a bunch of housing in one spot and call it a day, I want to take this job seriously to really help Redondo.
Okay, thank you very much, I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it. And
Have a good
thanks for
night.
applying. The next is Justin Capistrano.